Hello and welcome to the Ruslan Belov channel. Today we'll be discussing the global situation as of June 24th, 2025. A lot of significant events have occurred, so let's dive in. We'll start by discussing the situation in Ukraine and the zone of the special military operation. Just recently, Zelensky gave an interview to the British newspaper Sky News. He made many interesting statements regarding his legitimacy and the duration of his presidency. Overall, he presented his own very particular view of the situation. It's worth analyzing what he said. We'll also cover the situation along the front line. Over the past 24 hours, Russian units have managed to significantly improve their positions in some areas of the front. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, let's first take a look at Zelensky's statement. In his interview with Sky News, the interviewer asked Zelensky what he thought about his legitimacy, about the terms of his stay in office, and about all the things Putin has been saying, namely that Zelensky has no legitimacy and no right to extend his powers since the constitution does not clearly allow for it. Zelensky gave a very curious response. He said the following: "I feel and I believe that I must remain president of Ukraine until the end of the war." This is quite an unusual position. He said, "I believe the constitution allows it," but more importantly, he said, I feel as a man from the street, a regular person, that I want to and will remain president of Ukraine until the war ends, because I have the most experience in governing during wartime. With that logic, he justified remaining in power until the war with Russia ends. That's the position Zelensky expressed. Next, let's move on to Dnipropetrovsk and the Dnipropetrovsk region. Today, footage from objective control sources has been published, showing a series of Iskander missile strikes on the area. Numerous explosions were recorded. If you look at the footage, the strikes mostly targeted the railway area. Sources say the attacks hit military, industrial, and infrastructure targets, though there are also reports and videos showing civilian casualties near the railway zone. There's a strong possibility that troop redeployments were taking place today, likely an attempt to move equipment from western Ukraine closer to the front lines. These rail convoys may have been the target of the Iskander strikes. The Russian Ministry of Defense is expected to release additional information soon, which should clarify exactly what was targeted. Now let's move to the front line, starting with the Sumy sector. In recent days, we've been closely watching the large settlement of Andriivka, which appears to have fully fallen under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces following their counter-offensive. This has been confirmed not only by various cartographers, including pro-Ukrainian sources, but also by footage from objective control sources showing Ukrainian forces in the area. In fact, some pro-Russian cartographers today have also marked Andriivka as fully under Ukrainian control. We also received new footage of FPV drone strikes. It appears that Russian forces attempted a counterattack to regain control of the lost settlement. In the video, we can see Ukrainian FPV drone operators actively striking Russian assault units approaching Andriivka from all directions. As of now, it is clear that Andriivka is under Ukrainian control. Russian units may have managed to establish a presence again, but the area is seeing fierce fighting. On the eastern flank of the Sumy direction, pro-Russian cartographers are marking notable advances, specifically in the town of Yunikivka. Reliable pro-Russian sources report that by the end of June 24th, the Russian army may have gained control over more than 50 or even 60% of the settlement, and the offensive is ongoing. If confirmed, it would suggest that the Ukrainian defensive line in this area has effectively collapsed. Currently, efforts appear to be focused on wrapping up active combat. If Yunikivka falls and comes under Russian control, we can expect a surge in hostilities across the entire sector. Let's now shift to the Kharkiv direction, starting with the northern Kupiansk sector. Today, neutral and pro-Ukrainian cartographic sources are making some interesting updates to the maps of northern Kupiansk. Specifically, some reliable sources are now fully marking the village of Holubivka as under the control of Russian armed forces. Here is how the map looked yesterday, as of June 23, 2025. Today, June 24th, we're seeing updated markings. We await geolocated confirmation, and perhaps the Russian Ministry of Defense will officially verify this. But overall, the situation here is increasingly difficult for Ukrainian units. Recall that in May and June there were reports, including objective control footage, of full clearance operations in Kondrashivka. There were also reports of Radkivka being cleared, though without video confirmation from the Ministry of Defense. Just recently, the ministry reported clearing the village of Mirova, a small settlement in the northwest, again without visual confirmation. Today, cartographers are beginning to shade in the emerging pocket between Mirova, Radkivka, Kondrashivka, and Sinkivka. Russian units have reportedly cleared Holubivka and appear to be moving south toward the forested area north of Kupiansk. If Russian forces manage to secure that forest zone, it would provide a strong foothold for pushing further south, directly into the urban area of Kupiansk itself. The likelihood of full-scale urban combat in Kupiansk in the immediate future is now very high. Now let's head to the southern Kupiansk direction, also known as the Lyman sector. Here, we are also seeing some map adjustments. Over the past few days, the Russian army has made steady progress. Fighting has mainly focused on the village of Hrakivka. Yesterday, footage confirmed that Russian units had fully cleared the area, and Russian soldiers were seen raising the Russian flag. Corresponding map updates were made yesterday, and today pro-Ukrainian sources are confirming the same. Russian control around the perimeter of the village is now gradually expanding. Additionally, there are reports of Russian forces advancing along the Ridkodub-Hlushkova line and further north toward the settlement of Novyi Mir. This shows that the offensive in the Borova sector, or more accurately, this general direction, is progressing actively. Russian forces seem intent on leveling the front line along a red demarcation line. We'll keep watching how the situation evolves. The pace of the offensive here is clearly high, something that cannot be said for the Lyman sector, where Russian units appear to have paused, at least until the battle for Zelena Dolina is resolved. That area is reportedly seeing some of the fiercest fighting right now. Next, we move on to the Kostianty-Nivka direction, where a lot of interesting updates are coming in. Let's begin with the area along the Siversky Donets-Donbass Canal. Today, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported that the Southern Forces Group had fully cleared the settlement of Delivka. A bit later, objective control footage was released, showing Russian soldiers in a partially destroyed building holding the Russian flag. Additional footage shows how Russian units advanced through the village. Based on this footage, map updates have been made. Both southern and northern Delivka are now marked as fully under the control of the Russian armed forces. It appears that the first phase of this offensive has concluded. This pocket has been nearly, if not completely, eliminated. In the near future, we should expect battles to begin for Bila Hora and the settlement of Oleksandra Shultin. At the same time, there are reports of minor Russian advances in Chasiv Yar as well. An offensive may soon begin from southern Chasiv Yar toward Predtekin and Oleksandra Shultin. Though fighting has already been ongoing here, as regularly reported by units in contact with Russian forces in the area, the Ukrainian side continues to send reinforcements in an effort to stabilize the situation and prevent a breakthrough northeast of Kostianty-Nivka. In the Kleban-Bik pocket, the Russian side has reportedly established full fire control over the Kleban-Bik-Katarinivka-Shcherbanivka triangle. Footage shows Ukrainian troops retreating from south to north, trying to stay close to evacuation corridors. The noose is tightening from both east and west. The Russian armed forces are applying constant firepower, and this area is gradually shifting from operational encirclement to a full cauldron. Russian pincers are steadily closing in. Moving along, we head toward the N32 highway. Ukrainian cartographers are marking Russian advances toward the village of Novotoretsk. A few days ago, some pro-Russian analysts noted that Russian troops were making progress in that direction and managed to gain a foothold. They reportedly reached the eastern outskirts and even entered Novoekonomichny from the northeast. So far, neither of these claims has been confirmed, except perhaps for minor map corrections or some grey zone control. Pro-Ukrainian cartographers are showing a significant grey area in this sector, part of which includes Novotoretsk itself. So it's possible that Russian troops are already in the vicinity, and fighting is underway on the village outskirts. One notable development is that the Russian army is increasingly using Guran drones directly along the front line. This is a notable change and one of the defining trends of 2025. Previously, Geran drones were mostly used deep in Ukrainian territory, striking depots, energy infrastructure, or targets in cities like Kyiv, well behind the front lines. But now we're frequently seeing footage of strikes just kilometers from Russian forward positions. This likely indicates that Russia has ramped up production of this drone type, enabling its use not only against deep strategic targets, but also as a frontline strike system, potentially replacing Lancet or regular FPV drones. The Geran drone is powerful, and its strikes are highly effective. Next, we move to the Dnipropetrovsk direction. For the third day in a row, the main fighting here has focused on the triangle of Novoserhivka, Molodetska, and Udakhne. Russian forces have been pushing north since around June 21st, 2025. Over the last 3 days, they've advanced significantly toward the north, aiming to encircle Udakhne from the southwest and west. Objective control footage confirms that Russian forces have fully cleared Novoserhivka. Frankly, we expected an official confirmation from the Russian Ministry of Defense today, but nothing has been published yet. In the early seconds of the video, we can see the Russian flag being raised at a geolocated site. In the final seconds, we see Russian assault units clearing the village step by step. The last recorded episode happened at this very location, leaving no doubt that Novoserhivka is under Russian control. As you can see, this village is right on the border between Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions. So Russian forces have now reached the Dnipropetrovsk border at another point. A small Ukrainian stronghold remains in front of them. Capturing it would allow the Russians to establish a firm foothold for a potential push deeper into Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. In the Novopavlivka sector, the main battle is now focused on the village of Yalta. Both pro-Ukrainian and neutral cartographers are marking Russian advances toward this village. According to various experts, Russian forces have secured the southeastern part of the village. Combat is currently focused on the central area. It appears that the turning point in the battle for Yalta has already passed. In the next 24 to 48 hours, Ukrainian forces will likely retreat, either north across the Vovcha River toward Novopavlivka or southwest toward Zorka, which may also soon fall under Russian control. On another front, after crossing the Mokra Yala River and establishing a foothold on the Ukrainian side, Russian forces are advancing toward Shevchenko, across the fields toward Voskresenka, and from Fedorivka and Perebudova westward through Mern, again toward Voskresenka. Many reports indicate that Russian units are trying to reach this red line as quickly as possible, a line that could serve as an operational breakthrough line, after which further movement toward the northwest may become much easier than the slow progress we're currently seeing. Also worth noting is the high activity of Russian aviation and heavy artillery on the Zaporizhzhia front, particularly around Stepnohirsk and Kupiansk. Here, Russian forces appear to be flattening Ukraine's defensive positions. The intensity and concentration of strikes suggest that the Russian army may soon resume its offensive, possibly aiming to break through Ukrainian defenses or at least clear out Kupiansk. It's unlikely the Russian army is preparing to push towards Stepnohirsk just yet, but Kupiansk may fall very soon. And that's all for today, dear friends. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your likes, and all the best to you.